just like how you create your music, you need everything in place, the mood, the lighting, even when the person is in the studio and just singing. And also, how did you select your musicians that this person's voice is perfect for this song?
That's what I think, the amount you give to a song, that's how long it will last, I think. Everyone does the programming, everyone writes the words, everyone makes the thing. But the thing is how much of heart you give to the lyrics or to the music or to the melody or to the singing. That's how long the song will last, is what I genuinely feel. If you don't give that love, you're not going to get it back. It's just a simple debit and credit procedure, I think, with the audience. I genuinely feel I don't have any special skill. I don't know any scale or anything else. It's just that I enjoy that process a lot. Give me an evening to just go for a film party or something, I'll skip it. But you give me like a struggling musician to go who has a great tune, some new guys, chill all night with them. I can do that. I can just sit there, make music and stuff like that. We just did that recently. Fahim came down. He just surprised us, and we met in my Bandra office, and Han was there, Aneet was there, and he made me hear his other songs and stuff like that. But it was it's so much fun. Because I just think making music, film, you still get to see something. I think music is so amazing. You just
don't need to see anything.
It's in the air, and suddenly it just comes together, and it's just, you can just feel it. And something you hear makes you feel something. It's just magical.
Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV.
Good evening and welcome to the Southern View. This evening, another Himalayan monsoon tragedy, Vasudha, in Uttarakhand. That's our main focus and perhaps only focus this evening.
Namaskar and welcome to all our viewers. Messages of grief and support pouring in from all quarters to that tragedy. The visuals from the cloudburst reveal the enormity, the scale of what really happened in Uttarakhand. We'll get you all the latest up ahead, but first up, the headlines. Cloudburst in Uttarkashi, villages swept away. Over 50 people have gone missing. Rescue teams at spot. PM condoles. Amit Shah, the Home Minister, has spoken to Chief Minister Pushkar Dhame.
Massive ruckus over the use of CISF in Parliament. Mallikarjun Kharge had raised the issue of CISF being used in the House to muzzle the opposition. Allegedly, the government hits back. Kiran Rijiju says only marshals in the House.
NDTV takes a sneak peek into the Bengaluru Yellow Line that's to be launched by the Prime Minister on the 10th of August.
Has Donald Trump doubled down on tariff threat? He sets a 24-hour deadline for India, says substantial tariffs in the next 24 hours. We'll wait and see how that plays out. Breaking news of horrendous videos, Vasudha, coming in from Uttarakhand Tuesday afternoon. Himalayan tragedy that unfolded there following a cloudburst that triggered a massive and devastating landslide at the Dharali village of Uttarakhand's Uttarkashi district. You see those videos on your screens. They tell the tale of nature's fury. Several people fear dead as horrific images of gush of land and water showed people and houses being washed away, cars being washed away. There you see on your screens in that village, from the Prime Minister down to the top of Uttarakhand's establishment, have said a massive relief and rescue operation is underway in trying conditions there, Vasudha.
Absolutely. 50 people have gone missing. In fact, it could be even more than that. Many more are feared missing at this stage. Horrifying visuals there, Veera, in which a huge gush of water and earth came down towards the Dharali village in Uttarkashi, sweeping away many houses, hotels and also people. Eyewitnesses posted videos on social media in which people can be heard screaming in panic. Uttarkashi police have also posted pictures of destruction, and they've urged people to maintain a safe distance from rivers.
Those pictures, of course, we've seen that happen repeatedly. We will have a special panel to weigh in on the situation there. We'll also get you the latest of the ground reports from Uttarkashi that we can. Let's first get you whatever reactions we have at the moment, starting with the Uttarakhand Chief Minister and also some of the eyewitness reactions that came in.
घरों में भी गया है, कुछ घर भी चपेट में आए हैं, आसपास कुछ गेस्ट हाउस और होटल हैं, उन सभी को उसमें मलबे में उसमें आए हैं। और अभी सबसे पहले हमारी सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकता है कि सभी को तत्काल बचाव किया जाए, राहत के कार्य किए जाए, जरूरी जो भी सहायता है वो सहायता लोगों तक पहुँचाई जाए। उसके लिए सेना के लोग और आपदा प्रबंधन विभाग और NDRF, SDRF सभी काम कर रहे हैं। आदरणीय गृह मंत्री जी ने भी लगातार हर संभव सहायता के लिए वहाँ पर NDTV की कंपनियां और कंपनियों को भेजा है और उन्होंने कहा है कि हर संभव यहाँ से भी सहायता की जाएगी। तो हम सबका प्रयास, सभी लोग लगे हैं, जिला प्रशासन के लोग भी बचाव के काम के लिए है। थोड़ा सा कठिन स्थान है वो, क्योंकि वहाँ पर बारिश भी हो रही है और इस समय वहाँ थोड़ा कोहरा भी लगा हुआ है।
धामी जी, आपसे पूछना चाहूंगी कि क्या आप भी वहां जाएंगे जहां ये त्रासदी हुई है, और कब तक पहुंचेंगे अगर जा रहे हैं तो?
जी वहाँ पर, जी बिल्कुल, मैं भी यहाँ आपदा प्रबंधन से सारे जो भी हमारे कंट्रोल रूम है वहाँ पे सारा हम लोग मॉनिटर कर रहे हैं। जैसी जैसी आवश्यकता होगी उस हिसाब से हम सब लोग वहाँ पहुँचेंगे। और चूंकि अभी सभी लोग बचाव के काम में लगे हैं, इसलिए सबकी प्राथमिकता है कि इस समय बचाव के कामों को आगे बढ़ाया जाए।
धामी जी, घायलों की और बाकी वहां पर मृतकों की संख्या की कोई पुष्टि हो पाई है?
देखिए अभी आकलन नहीं हो पाया है। अभी तो यह है कि तत्काल लोगों को जिनको बचाया जा सकता है, जिनको राहत दी जा सकती है, सर्वोच्च सहायता की जा सकती है, उसमें लगे हैं। सबकी सुरक्षा, सबको बचाना हमारी प्राथमिकता है।
दुख की घटना हुई है, प्रशासन लोग अपने काम कर रहे हैं, जगह जगह पहुंच रहे हैं, क्योंकि रास्ता भी बंद है, इसलिए जितना वहाँ लोकली है वो लोग पहुंच रहे हैं। और जो बाहर से आ रहे हैं हेल्प कर रहे हैं जो प्रशासन, वो लोग अभी पहुंच ही रहे हैं। क्योंकि आपने देखा होगा परिस्थिति कैसा है। स्टेट और सेंटर हम सब मिलकर इसके लिए काम कर रहे हैं और आगे जा रहे हैं। 2 बार हो चुका है, एक सुखी में भी फिर एक बार हुआ है। क्लाउडबर्स्ट 2 प्लेसेस क्लाउडबर्स्ट हुआ है। इट्स अ वेरी टफ जॉब फॉर देम टू रीच ऑल्सो, क्योंकि फोन्स भी नहीं लग रहा है।
देखिए, चूंकि सड़क का भी संपर्क मार्ग बाधित हो गया है और पुलिया भी वहां से बह गई है, तो उसके लिए हम लोग अभी BRO से भी और ENC इंजीनियर इन चीफ हमारे PWD के हमारे साथ हैं। हमारा सबसे पहला जो प्रयास है कि किस तरह से कनेक्टिविटी स्थापित की जाए। मौसम भी अभी ऐसी स्थिति नहीं है जिससे कि हम लोग हेली सर्विसेज को वहां के माध्यम से वहां पे राहत और रेस्क्यू कर सके। लेकिन जहां तक SDRF और NDRF का है, उसमें हम यहां से ऑलरेडी SDRF की टीम वहां पहुंची हुई है। साथ ही वहाँ आर्मी का भी इस्टेब्लिशमेंट है। आर्मी के इस्टेब्लिशमेंट के माध्यम से गांव वालों से अभी वहाँ हमने गांव वालों से भी 1-2 लोगों से बात करने की कोशिश की है। बड़ी बात है कि हम लोग आकलन जैसा कि प्रथम दृष्टया लग रहा है कि उसमें 40-50 जो बिल्डिंग्स क्षति हुई है।
अभी ताज़ा जानकारी के मुताबिक प्रॉपर्टीज़ का तो काफ़ी डैमेज हुआ ही है और अभी कैजुअलिटीज़ के बारे में कुछ बता पाना अभी संभव नहीं है। मौके पर हमारी आर्मी की टीम जो हर क्षेत्र में रहती है वो पहुंच गई है। साथ ही साथ डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट SSP भी पहुंचने वाले हैं। NDRF, SDRF और ये भी टीम वहां पर मूव की जा चुकी है। पहली प्राथमिकता तो लोगों का रेस्क्यू करना है। इसके लिए हेल्थ विभाग की पूरी टीम, साथ ही साथ फूड डिपार्टमेंट, इन सभी को एक्टिवेट किया गया है।
उत्तराखंड के धराली में भूस्खलन आया हुआ है, बहुत भयंकर तबाही हुई है। बात करने के लिए एनडीआरएफ के डीआईजी ऑपरेशन मोहसिन साहिदी की जो तस्वीरें, जो विजुअल आ रही है, वो तो काफ़ी ज़्यादा भयावह लग रहा है वहाँ पर।
जी बिल्कुल, बहुत ही भयानक ये एक इंसिडेंट हुआ है और इसमें करीब 2 बजे ये इंसिडेंट हुआ है। उसके बाद एनडीआरएफ की हमने 3 टीमों को रवाना किया है, एक मनेरा से जो उत्तरकाशी में ही है, उसके बाद बटकोट से और देहरादून से टीमें अभी एन रूट हैं और जल्दी पहुंचने वाली हैं। इसके अलावा 2 टीमें हमारी एयरलिफ्ट के लिए भी देहरादून में तैयार हैं।
अभी वहाँ क्या शुरुआती क्या जानकारी लग पड़ी, कितना नुकसान हुआ है वहाँ पर अगर बात करें, क्योंकि वहाँ जो मड जो दिख रहा है, एक जो मिट्टी के जो सैलाब जिसको कह सकते हैं, वो तो कई फुट जमा हुआ और बहुत ज़्यादा भयंकर।
जी देखिए, ये तो एक बड़े क्षेत्र में तबाही है और अभी सूचना अवेटेड है एसडीएमएस से, जो लोकल प्रशासन है उनके पास से अभी पूरी सूचना आई नहीं है हमारे पास। ऐसा बताया जा रहा है कि 40 से 50 जो घर हैं वो तबाह हुए हैं और कई लोग मिसिंग हैं। तो ये एक चैलेंज होगा हमारे लिए, एक चैलेंजिंग ऑपरेशन रहेगा।
4-5 लोगों के मरने की खबर है, 40 से 50 लोग मिसिंग, इस तरह की बातें निकल के आ रही है।
जी बिल्कुल, ये जो रेडियो से और जो टीवी से ये हम अभी देख रहे हैं, कंफर्म्ड अभी इंफॉर्मेशन अवेटेड है।
Well, former Chief Minister and Congress leader Harish Rawat joins us now. Thank you, Mr. Rawat, हमसे जुड़ने के लिए। सर, उत्तराखंड के लिए काफ़ी तबाही का टाइम है, ये बहुत दुख का टाइम है। आपने ये सब एज अ चीफ मिनिस्टर देखा है सर, और अभी रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशंस में भी काफ़ी चैलेंजेस आ रहे हैं। जाहिर सी बात है, इस तबाही को, इस हादसे को किस तरह देखते हैं?
ये बहुत चिंताजनक स्थिति है हमारे लिए और ये निरंतर बनी हुई चिंताजनक स्थिति है। पिछले कई वर्षों से जो हमारा मध्य हिमालय का क्षेत्र है, उत्तराखंड, हिमाचल, इनमें बादल फटने की घटनाएं बहुत हो रही हैं। कब किस गाड़ में, किस गदेरे में, किस एरिया में, किस जोन में कोई बादल फट जाए, कहाँ ग्लेशियर टूट जाए, ये इस तरीके की आपदा आ जाए, कोई कहा नहीं जा सकता। यहाँ भी सीर गंगा में ये ऊपर ग्लेशियरों से निकल करके आती है। मुझे लगता है तो ग्लेशियर टूटा या उस सीर गंगा के उस क्षेत्र में बादल फटने की घटना हुई और उसके मलबे की चपेट में सारा हमारा जो है ये धराली का गांव आ गया। सबसे सुंदर गांव हमारा, बहुत व्यवस्थित गांव, जहाँ बहुत अच्छी आधुनिक खेती भी होती थी, बड़े सेब के बगीचे थे, होम स्टेज बने हुए थे, लोगों के होटल्स बने हुए थे, क्योंकि ये गंगोत्री के यात्रा मार्ग में जो है लगभग आखिरी पड़ाव जैसा है। तो यहाँ बहुत सुंदर गांव था। एक बहुत प्राचीन स्थित मंदिर है यहाँ, वो भी सारा ढक गया है, पूरा गांव का 70% एरिया ढक गया है। तो बचाव का काम चल रहा है। मैं समझता हूँ वहाँ सेना की मदद के लिए होगी। हरसिल में नजदीक में सेना भी है, आईटीबी भी है, बिजली है, ऊपर दोनों की मदद भी हासिल हो सकती है। और फिर एसडीआरएफ हमारी है ही है और एनडीआरएफ की मदद भी होगी और स्थानीय लोग भी मदद कर रहे हैं। तो मुझे जानकारी मिली है या प्रशासन भी वहां पहुंच गया है। तो अब देखना यह है कि बचाव का काम कैसे हो पाता है। रात घिर रही है, उधर बारिश भी हो रही है, ये चिंता का विषय है, मगर हम भगवान से प्रार्थना ही कर सकते हैं और तब ठीक हो। और मैं आपके चैनल के माध्यम से देश के लोगों से भी एक प्रार्थना करना चाहता हूँ, विशेष तौर पर सत्ता से ही प्रार्थना करना चाहता हूँ कि हमारे मध्य हिमालय के क्षेत्र जिनसे सारी ये नदियां निकलती हैं उत्तरी भारत की, सारा जल यहीं से जाता है, सारा ऑक्सीजन देने का काम भी यही क्षेत्र करते हैं। तो इन क्षेत्रों के लिए कैसे हम क्लाइमेट चेंज का मुकाबला कर सकें और उससे अपने मध्य हिमालय के क्षेत्र को, यहाँ के वल्नरेबल पहाड़ों को कैसे बचाएं, अपने ग्लेशियरों को कैसे बचाएं, उनके लिए कोई राष्ट्रीय पॉलिसी बनाइए और हमारी सरकारों का भी मार्गदर्शन करिए और उनके ऊपर कुछ नियंत्रण भी रखिए। यह अंधाधुंध जो दोहन हो रहा है प्रकृति का, उस पर कुछ अंकुश लगवाइए। ये जो धन कमाने वालों के हवाले पूरा उत्तराखंड कर दिया, हमारी नदी घाटियां सब धार सब उनके हवाले कर दी है, उनसे हमको बचाने में मदद करिए। ये मैं, आपका चैनल बहुत बड़ा चैनल है, मैं इसके माध्यम से पूरे देश के लोगों से प्रार्थना करना चाहता हूँ।
रावत जी, आप बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात कह रहे हैं, बट आई जस्ट हैव अ सिंपल क्वेश्चन टू यू that given the history of these tragedies, have people really learned क्या लोग have they
Any
learned
question
their
from
lessons
me?
from the past?
Any question for me?
यस सर, दैट्स अ क्वेश्चन फॉर यू। वो कहना पूछना चाहते हैं कि लोगों को कुछ समझ में आया है सर, आपके अनुभव से बताइए कि क्या लोगों को
मुझे मुफ्तन आवाज नहीं आ रही।
हाँ, नहीं, हम पूछना चाह रहे थे मिस्टर रावत
We'll try.
हम पूछना चाहते
I think Mr. Rawat Vasudha is not able to listen, hear our questions. Mr. Rawat, can you hear us?
कोई नेटवर्क की खराबी है।
जी।
Okay, we'll try and get back to Mr. Rawat.
मिस्टर रावत, आपके अनुभव से ये बताइए कि लोगों को ये समझ आ रहा है कि क्लाइमेट चेंज से जो दुविधा स्टेट को सहनी पड़ रही है, क्या लोगों को एहसास है कि इससे प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है?
I don't think Mr.
problem.
अच्छा, we will try.
I don't think Mr. Rawat can hear us there. Vasudha, let's try and go across to our other guests. I believe we're also joined by Dipali Jindal, a senior consultant at the NDMA. Also with us, Harjeet Singh, who's followed climate issues very, very closely. Ms. Jindal, can you give us a sense of, what kind of preparations could have been there? Was there any kind of advance warnings of a cloudburst there? Just give us a sense of what is running through your mind as you see those horrendous images play on television screens.
So this is the very unfortunate incident which has happened in Uttarkashi. So this is not only the one incident, most 3 incidents of cloudburst has happened. One in Dharali, as we have already seen, and one between Harshil and Gangani, and another near the army camp at Harshil. So there was the warning from IMD for the entire Uttarakhand state. The red warning was being issued, but in the nowcast they issued the orange alert also to the Uttarkashi district. So there could have been
I'm really sorry to interrupt you. Harish Rawat is back with us. Mr. Rawat, thank you हमसे जुड़ने के लिए। हम ये पूछना चाह रहे थे सर कि आपने जब ये 2013 का फ्लड्स देखा था, उसके बाद मुझे याद है कि 3 टायर प्रोटेक्शन सिस्टम की बात की थी आपने, लेकिन क्या अभी लोगों को एहसास है कि क्लाइमेट चेंज से दिक्कत हो रही है, और क्या अर्ली डिटेक्शन सिस्टम किसी भी काम आते हैं? क्योंकि ऐसी जब दुर्घटना होती है तो लगता है कि सेंसर हो, अर्ली डिटेक्शन हो, कोई किसी काम का नहीं है। Okay, we will try connecting.
Let's go back to Dipali. Let's try and go back to Dipali Jindal. It's all quite chaotic because of that internet connection there. Dipali Jindal, please go ahead. You were making a point.
I was just telling that there are 3 incidences of the cloudburst which has happened in Uttarkashi. So the warning was being issued by IMD, Indian Meteorological Department. The red alert was given for the entire state of the Uttarakhand, and for Uttarkashi specifically, there was an orange alert. So we need to prepare in such kind of the situations. So though we were prepared a lot, but still this was very unfortunate because the cloudburst which has happened. So this could be the probable cause could have been the breach of the Moraine Dam at the upstream side, because there are too many glaciers surrounding these above the catchment area of the Khir Ganga, and also there could be the reason that in the Khir Ganga the cloudburst has hit. So entire thing can be determined just on the detailed analysis of the satellite imagery, so that we can come to the exact point what could be have the main reason. And already NDMA has identified, 13 glacial lakes in Uttarakhand also, which are the high-risk glacial lakes. So there could be the possibility of this kind of the failure also in this.
Harjeet Singh with us. Mr. Singh, this is also the Char Dham Yatra, time, and of course some of these yatras are also seeing a lot of tourists. Uttarakhand is dependent on tourists. The whole Garhwal part of the state, how fragile is it? Can you explain to us, because this recurring landslides and floods, what really is the solution for this?
So that is really, really sad, and our hearts are with the people who are affected and facing this crisis. But let's also recognize that it's a brutal warning sign that our planet is in crisis when we see such incidences happening so frequently all around us. And this one in particular is a direct consequence of global warming. Harish ji also mentioned that. We are talking about climate change, but it's also colliding with a disastrous local level planning and our lack of preparedness for the climate crisis. That's the reality somewhere. And we need to recognize that climate crisis is getting worse. There's, of course, intensified rainfall and how climate change and global warming are making these so-called natural disasters far more worse. But then the local multiplier, a man-made disaster, is because of the destructive development that we are living through. We are ignoring the signs. So we have all the information. Geologists and ecologists have been warning us about the region, which is so ecologically fragile, but we still see unregulated construction of hotels, roads, and hydropower projects, and of course the deforestation. So it is a man-made crisis, whether we talk about climate change or the way we are constructing, which we are doing in the name of development. So I would say, I mean, of course, this is a time when we should be talking about how people are suffering, but we cannot ignore the causes, which are all human-made.
Right. There is more information that's coming in of further damages. We'll go to those in a bit, Vasudha. But Sanjay Kumar, former DG of the NDRF, is also here with us. Mr. Kumar, what would be the critical challenges at this stage? The scale of it, they get a sense that is still not very clear in terms of the weather conditions there and in terms of NDRF teams being able to reach there. What are you hearing?
Yes, challenges are all there in such a situation. First thing is to for the teams to arrive at the site, and I think that due to the inclement weather, it's not possible to airlift the forces over there. Therefore, the routes are to be opened first, and priority of the forces would be to rescue the people over there who might be trapped in the debris. Though night is about to fall and electricity might not be available due to the obvious reasons, but then forces have their own equipment or their own lighting arrangements, and I think with the coordination with each other and with the help of district administration, that there would be adequate lighting for them to carry out their operations even during the night. They have life searches equipment, including the dog squad, and they would be able to prioritize their work for search and carry out the operation successfully. The roads are, I think, blocked. That's also a challenge, but then local people would be able to guide them to the places affected.
Better, Dipali, help us understand what should be the immediate warnings for people who live in Uttarakhand, especially around that area, because IMD has also issued alerts. Non-essential travel has been banned. As an expert, what would you tell people living in Uttarakhand and also, near these rivers?
In case
Dipali, yeah.
See, whenever the warning is being issued, so we just, guide the people and we try to make them understand that they should shift their place from the nearby vicinity of the river or along the bank side of the river. Whoever people are living, they should go away far from there. But usually people used to, kind of ignore such kind of the warnings, and such kind of the calamity or mishappening used to take place. But what can be the best possible thing we can do? It's like we can give the mock drills to the people to make them understand, and we do so also. So NDMA at their level, we do plan the mock drills for the local public, for the community awareness and the capacity building, so that they are very much well aware that what could be the worst situation when such kind of the incident is about to happen. So we try to make them aware about such kind of the warnings and how they should react in such kind of situations.
Atul Tiwari, who's in Dhunda in Uttarakhand, Vasudha, also joins us on the phone line. Atul, I know you're not very close to the village that was hit by that landslide, the huge pictures that we're seeing on our screens, but just tell us, what's the sense around you? It's not too far away as well, and what are you hearing from the local folk there?
Avira, it's really disheartening to see something like this, and obviously everybody here, in fact we are about 95 kilometers away from the place, but we do hear the concerns within the local people, and they are concerned if they are safe at all, and there are few houses here as well which are near, the river Bhagirathi, and of course one gets a little bit scared when they kind of hear all these things, and they all are praying and wishing that those who are missing to be found soon. Yeah.
Right. Atul, also just briefly tell us the sense on the river at the moment. Is it raining in that area?
It is not heavily, though. It was raining heavily in the during the day, and the river is swelled up. The Bhagirathi river that flows all the way up till from Gangotri towards Ganga, right? It swelled up and it has the water, and obviously people here do have relatives or friends in the areas where this cloudburst happened, say in Harshil or Dhanari, right? And they are also concerned. They could contact the relatives earlier, but now they are concerned as to what has happened and how safe they are.
Thanks very much, Atul Tiwari. You stay safe there. We'll keep a close watch of what's developing there. Vasudha, this is also not the first time that you've had a cloudburst hit Uttarakhand or one of the Himalayan states. We've seen this repeatedly happen. It's happened for time immemorial, but happening perhaps more frequently now. Let's not forget that the Himalayas have had havoc before. This one at Dharali just a few weeks ago. There was one at Mandi and Kulu in Himachal, and many, many more before that, Vasudha.
That's right, Veera. Tehri and Mussoorie were hit in 2021, and Kinnaur in Himachal in 2020, Dharampur and Mandi in 2015, and 2013. Kedarnath floods, that devastation after which the reconstruction of Uttarakhand happened, that is something that none of us is ever going to forget.
That's right. There were many more before that as well. They are a natural phenomenon, but the question is, are we learning lessons in that sense? Harjeet Singh, what's the sense? I mean, is it getting more frequent? Is it getting more pronounced because of construction activity in the hills? What is the lesson, one big lesson that people should learn from this?
First of all, we cannot call them so-called natural disasters anymore. They are not natural. The phenomenon which has been made far more worse, again, as I said, by global warming and then the kind of unregulated construction that we have seen. So we are not prepared for those disasters. And what we have not learned, look at the list that you just shared about the disasters in Uttarakhand, and we are seeing such disasters happening in different forms all over India and around the world. So the fact is, there is a massive problem with our so-called development model itself. On one hand, it is causing more emissions, which are the main reasons why we are facing the climate crisis, and then the kind of construction we are doing, totally ignoring science. So my key message is, let's stop ignoring science. Let's listen to geologists and ecologists who have been warning against this kind of development for decades now, and especially in these ecologically sensitive zones like the Himalayas, because vulnerability already exists and it's now getting exacerbated by climate change and the kind of so-called development that we are doing. So let us stop destroying our planet, and that's what we need to learn. That's the biggest lesson, because the cost that we are seeing is not just in terms of human cost. There's a social cost, there's economic cost, and of course there's a massive ecological cost. And we are now stuck in that cycle of loss and reconstruction that's also going to cripple our economy. So we need to learn that lesson. We are living in a crisis already, but I don't think we are acting enough. And I must underline that as a country, India does not even have a national resilience plan or national adaptation plan. And that's what we need. We need a national mission for climate resilience. That's the missing piece. And we should put a moratorium on construction in high risk and ecologically sensitive zones. Yes, we have early warning system, but it has to be far more granular, far more location specific alert system, so that we can use the mobile technology and sirens and community radios to reach out to people. And we need to also empower the local communities.
That's right, Harjeet. I think we need to have a
infrastructure.
community-based approach to this entire problem. But we also have news of floods from other parts of the country. Thank you, all of you, for joining us on this broadcast. Veera, dramatic visuals have also come in from West Bengal. Concrete structure guarding slope of a railway tunnel has collapsed, and this incident has taken place at Tunnel 7 of Sevak Rangpur Rail Link project. And this is in Kalimpong district of Darjeeling in West Bengal.
That's right, the incident at the Ravi Jora near Tista Bazar of Kalimpong district of West Bengal. This project will link Sikkim to the rail network. No casualties, fortunately. Injuries from the incident reported. Northeast Frontier Railway sources have confirmed that. Heavy rains and landslides in the area caused that collapse. So remember, this is part of that Himalayan region overall. Vasudha, if we still have our guests, maybe we can speak about the overall region and the vulnerable parts. It's one now, it's another next year, but it's an overall trend across the Himalayas that one's been noticing over the last few years.
That's right. Look at this concrete structure crumbling in seconds from Uttarakhand to Darjeeling. The Himalayan ecosystem is very fragile, and clearly the kind of construction activity that it has seen in the last many years is also a warning sign, like one of our guests pointed out. But Veera, clearly the focus is on Uttarkashi, where over 50 people have gone missing, and we just had the former Chief Minister talk about this being one of those warnings for the state. NDRF and SDRF teams are on ground, but clearly there are many challenges to this rescue operation. It's already dark, so clearly this is something that is going to go on for the next few days.
That's right, and we're still waiting for further updates coming in from Uttarakhand. Of course, those pictures on your screens tell the story, whether it is a bridge and a tunnel in Sikkim, or whether it is cars and houses being washed away. It's nature's fury in full flow. That Uttarakhand cloudburst, our main focus here. Vasudha, of course, as you know, that there were several, as you were pointing out, the Uttarakhand MPs were extremely worried today in the parliament when you met them as well. Anything further that you can pick up in terms of the scale of that tragedy, because we still don't have clear indication of the latest updates from the ground there in Uttarkashi?
Absolutely. The official numbers will come out only later, is what we've been told. But in the parliament today, the Home Minister chaired a meeting with Uttarakhand MPs, and all of them had a look of almost shock on their faces, and they kept saying "Aapda aa gayi Pradesh par." That's what they said. 5 MPs, a small state but extremely important from the spiritual point of view, from the religious point of view, and from the ecosystem, from the ecology point of view. So clearly this is a warning. We had one in 2013 and repeated warnings there, and this clearly is also one of those things that tells us that it is time to take note of the changing ecological balance and the problems that reconstruction of a state is creating for its ecology.
Right, that's right. We'll keep a close watch of the latest that's coming in from there, but we'll take a very short break here on the Southern View. Much more when we come back.
At a time when the Israeli Prime Minister is reported to be thinking of a full occupation of the Gaza Strip in what would be a massive escalation of the war. Remember, 1,500. We report from areas along the Strip. The kibbutz worst hit by terrorists during October 2023. A hell zone where 1 in 4 people, infants, the elderly, were butchered. Their killings beamed on Facebook. The crisis shows no signs of coming to an end. We bring you a reminder of the horror. The big question, when will there be an end to the war? When will the hostages return? And as significantly, when will the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, the suffering of countless people over there, come to an end? Tonight on Left, Right and Centre, 9:55 p.m, right here on NDTV 24/7.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
That's huge. That is a biggie. It's out there.
गोल्ड ग्लास क्लियर ग्लास, कार हो या नियर, सब कुछ दिखे क्लियर।
फिनिस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनिस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
फाइनल फिनिस्टा।
जब मुंबई से वापस कोल्हापुर शिफ्ट हुआ तो सबने कहा कि ड्रीम सिटी को छोड़ रहा है। ड्रीम सिटी, तो मैंने कहा ड्रीम में तो यही गलियां आती हैं। तो जब ये रियलाइज़ हुआ कि कुछ बड़ा करने के लिए बड़े शहर में रहने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, तब लगा कि लाइफ में ग्रो किया। कशिश ताई, ऐसे बॉय मिलते मुंबई में? चांस ही नहीं।
SIP करो, इन्वेस्ट करो, लाइफ में ग्रो करो।
प्रतिभूति बाजार में निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। निवेश करने से पहले सभी संबंधित दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
हेलो, बोलिए मैडम। डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा।
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising on the front pages of national dailies.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसे हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है।
मैडम एक बार को खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
After our report, we also saw NSE came out with a cautionary circular to the investors. Market Regulator, Securities and Exchange Board of India has also come out with a release talking about the actions that it has taken. Cyber complaint has also been filed against the entities involved in this entire Dabba trading scam.
You know, first when Sayara released and we as audience realized, oh my God, what is happening? You know, when did you realize it? Like, it's like, I didn't expect this, what is happening? Like that wave that hits you.
You know, the first thing that really hit me, I'm telling you, was a month back actually, to be honest, is when Adisa saw the film. And he saw a very loose cut and he decided the release date. But he was always...
Cloudburst in Uttarkashi, villages have been swept away. Over 50 people have gone missing. Rescue teams are on spot. PM controls. Amit Shah, Home Minister, speaks to Chief Minister Pushkar Dhami. There's a massive ruckus over Parliament security change. Opposition has said that the voice of opposition is being muzzled. Government has said that only marshals were present in the House. NDTV takes a sneak peek into Bengaluru Yellow Line that is to be launched by the Prime Minister on the 10th of August. Donald Trump doubles down on tariff threat. Donald Trump has set 24-hour deadline for India. Donald Trump says substantial tariffs in the next 24 hours on India.
Presented by Canara Bank. Together we can.
Back, it's the third week of Parliament sessions being repeatedly disrupted due to heated exchanges between the opposition and the government over Bihar's SIR, the Special Intensive Revision of Electoral Rolls exercise that's going on in Bihar, Veera. The opposition has alleged that the survey has deep political motives and has raised questions about its legal standing and intent, while the government has claimed that it is essential for inclusive policy planning.
Well, the standoff in Parliament has led to adjournments and a growing sense of dysfunction, reflecting entrenched ideological divides and the polarized climate there in Parliament that extends well beyond the issue. Deputy Chairman Harivansh had also expressed concern over the continuous disruption, saying that some members may be deliberately disrupting the House. He said question hour and zero hour are important to raise the issue of public importance and make the government accountable, but the opposition has its side of the story.
Absolutely, Veera. But the big question, will the monsoon session become a complete washout? That is the question that we are seeking answers to. We have with us Smita Prakash. We also have Gopal Krishna Agarwal, and we have Ajay Kumar with us. Thank you all of you for joining me on this broadcast. Smita, to you first. The opposition seems to be just asking for a discussion on SIR. In fact, today, the opposition MPs also were telling me that even even if it's on larger electoral reforms, we are fine if they don't want to name SIR. The government feels that SIR is completely in the realm of ECI. It does not think that the parliament is an appropriate platform to discuss this issue. Do you think that a middle path is possible here?
Well, of course, if the ruling party wants to, they can decide to adopt a more conciliatory stand, have a discussion. But unfortunately, the debates have become so acrimonious where one side doesn't want to listen to the other side. It's just yelling accusations at each other in such a charged atmosphere and so much of distrust between the two sides, that is the opposition and the treasury. One doesn't have much hope that either side will give even half an inch. If at all they would have listened to each other, I think debate and discussion would have been possible. And what we are seeing now is just disruption and none of it. And so I agree with you, Vasudha, that it looks like, the fears are that this session could be a washout, whereas everybody really wants bills to be passed, business to be done, and a discussion on the SIR. So it's an unfortunate turn of events which happened.
Right, Gopal Krishna Agarwal, like Smita also said, before I go to Ajay Kumar, Gopal Krishna Agarwal, to me as a journalist, I do feel that a middle path is possible. The opposition is asking for SIR. Operation Sindoor, everybody knew that is going to make the government look better, because Operation Sindoor is something that the country also stands by completely. We are all happy that that discussion happened. Why not have a discussion on electoral reforms?
Are you asking me? I'm sorry, the audio line was pretty bad. I can't hear.
Institutions, they have to function independently. At one point of time, the opposition will say that there will be autonomy in democratic institutions. Let they function independently, and at the same time, they want interference from the parliament and legislation on their functioning. So, the issue is, when there is a separate institution, constitutional, it is constitutional institution which has been mandated the responsibility of conducting free and fair elections, and that is being overseen even by the Supreme Court. The opposition and the other people have filed in the court also to review it. Court is reviewing it. It is taking further on it. It has taken cognizance of some of the issues. It has given suggestions. So ultimately, our constitution demarcates the roles with different institutions. And if you continue interfering in their implementation of their roles, just discuss what they want to achieve. They have gone to election commission, opposition. Election commission has given so many times the clarification what the opposition wanted. They have not. Election commission has gone to this extent that they have also asked that if you have objection, give some proof. If you have proof, submit it. They have not even filed their objections. They are talking about Karnataka. They are talking about other different elections, etc. And it is continuing from such a long time. So the opposition.
Let me get Ajay Kumar to respond to what you are saying. Ajay Kumar, the point that's being made is that you have raised the issue with the election commission. The matter is before the apex court. It's between the ECI. It's in the ECI's realm. Why have a debate in parliament? What's your response?
No. So I think Gopal Krishna ji is slowly the discussion is going into the theatre of the absurd. Let's imagine that the election commission is frauding. A constitutional person holding CAG is giving fraudulent report, election commission is supposed. Where will you discuss it? Who says and which rule, Gopal sir, you're a very decent person, so I'm just going to ask you a question is, which rule is there which says you can't discuss a constitutional post? There's no rule in the parliament. There's no rule in the rules of the parliament. There's nothing which says you can't discuss issues which are of national importance, and the way the special intensive role is being conducted. That is one issue. The second issue is sub judice. Prajwal Revanna's issue. Whether it is sub judice or not, nobody seems to be discussing it, but that's a major issue or the point. So any major issue, whether, Raghav, the poisoning of the well in the school supply system in Karnataka, or everything should be discussed in the parliament. If the process is wrong, you're not challenging the election commission. One second, let me complete. I'm saying that you have discussed the CAG. The CAG gets into discussion. You discuss into various issues. So where will you discuss? Let's imagine India gets the most corrupt election commissioner who is totally hands in gloves with whichever government comes in power. What will you do about it?
Okay. That's a very valid question. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, why can't the parliament discuss this? Also set a precedent.
I think the question Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal needs to respond to what Ajay Kumar is asking, saying where will they discuss it? Why not allow a discussion? If you allow a discussion, parliament will function.
And maybe set a precedent for the future that all issues can be discussed, and that's a very, very valid point. Sir, is there something that stops these issues being discussed in the floor of the House? Because all of us have been thinking that yes, it is in the realm of ECI, but what is really stopping the government to look at this issue as something that can be discussed in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha?
So the thing is that nobody is saying that it cannot be discussed in parliament. The issue is that what you will gain out of it. What is the purpose? Parliament is not a place where opposition will vent its frustrations. Parliament is not the place where opposition alone will have its say. It will bulldoze the things, everything. So if they are asking, it is the speaker who will decide whether issues will be discussed or not. Government has said that we don't think that it should be discussed. Government is saying one point, opposition is saying another issue, part of it, but it is the speaker which will decide. But the question that we have to debate here is, ultimately speaker will decide, but here we should discuss what opposition want to gain out of it. Is a parliament a place where anything will be discussed and there is no compulsion or a restriction on the time spent on thing and what outcome it will achieve? We have to be very much careful on these issues. And if opposition just want what is happening, even on Operation Sindoor also, what we see, there is complete disruptions on the issues. The parliament has a legislative...
The debate was very nice. Let me get in Smita Prakash here.
Ajay, opposition is bulldozing its way. Opposition is bulldozing its way with disruptions to force what it wants. That's the government's point.
No, I agree on what Smita Prakash ji said was that we need to have a discussion. So there's no debate on that. My only angst with Gopal ji is what is the end objective is never the discussion in the parliament. What is the end objective of Sindoor discussion? The end objective of Sindoor session is to get the nation aware and discuss issues where there were any shortcomings. The country also has to get... So you can't... It is not some corporate board presentation, sir. It is where you people debate on issues and you come with a solution, some of the points which are valid. So in the election, the way SIR is being done, we have valid reasons. 20 people are dead in Begusara in one constituency, in one booth, have come back in the role. Now, those are questions.
But you must file your objection.
Correct, Gopal sir, I agree with you again. We must file. My question to you is, whether it is the Prime Minister, whether it is leader of opposition, none of us are, whether it's election commission, nobody is perfect. The fact is that you might get information from the opposition. Like in Sindoor, you got a lot of information from both sides. Somebody spoke, somebody said, and both sides. My question is, why does this government run away from a discussion on something which has captured 8 crore people's mind in Bihar? And last, sir, I'll just tell you, 20 lakh people, Raghav, I'll just finish with 5 seconds. Yes. 20 lakh people have moved out, have been shown they permanently moved out of Bihar. And Smita ji has been in the news business for so long. 20 lakh people moved out. Do they have a voter ID in some other state? That is not known. No, one sec, sir. One sec. It's not in the public domain. 7 lakh had 2 voter IDs. That I can understand. 20 lakh who left, they are saying we have removed them from voter ID. Did you give them a new voter ID? And what is the new voter ID? 20 lakh people, you'll just walk away and wash away as Indian citizens. When you ask a question in parliament, then the law ministry, the controlling ministry is forced to give you the data. And you will answer to us and say, no, these
Smita
29
Prakash, that's a
people.
valid point, but just to play the devil's advocate, when I talk to people in the government, they tell me, Smita, that there's not been massive ground protest on SIR and the judiciary has not stayed the process. So what really is going to be the outcome of the debate? And I agree with Ajay Kumar when he says that it can't be a corporate type proceeding that we are expecting outcomes. This is about debate. This is about setting precedents for the future.
But they should file the objections to the Election Commission. No, they are not doing that.
Okay, Smita, how do you look at this falling? I mean, what is the fallout, the larger fallout of this debate?
Vasudha, I'm sorry, I can't hear you from the connection, so I'm hearing you from the television. Yes, look, these are procedural issues. I reiterate, what they are saying, what all the objections they have can be valid, absolutely valid. That if these people if lakhs of people don't have a vote here and they are essentially domiciled in Bihar, have they gone and registered? Tamil Nadu is saying that some of them have come there, that they are migrant workers, they have resettled in Tamil Nadu. So why are they now given electoral, why are they in the electoral roll? So every state is now waking up to this fact. The thing is that Karnataka can also wake up and say that people from Tamil Nadu are working as software workers in software engineers in Tamil Nadu, in Karnataka. They've been here for 10 years. Now they have voting rights in Karnataka. Why is that the case? They are not domiciled in Karnataka, but they are domiciled in the sense that they've been here for 10 years. They've taken voter ID cards. So, this is like ringa roses. They keep going around. And rightfully so. They are Indians. If they are domiciled in a certain area, permanent residence is somewhere else, then somebody turns around and say, but Biharis go back for Chhath Puja. Why can't they go back for elections? For heaven's sake, they're migrant workers. If they have a voter ID card in Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, wherever, if they have a voter ID card, regardless of the fact that they are ethnicity is Bihari, doesn't matter. They can vote wherever they have a voter ID card. If you have a problem, go to the Election Commission. That's the place where this discussion should be held and not in Parliament. In Parliament, we want the bills to be cleared. We want the discussions to be held on that. Business has to happen. Even with Operation Sindoor, we saw this. Now getting into the well of the house, screaming and saying you brought in the army. Everybody knows you don't bring in the army inside the Parliament. So, these kind of bizarre allegations and coming in from 7-time, 8-time members of Parliament is a little absurd. Okay. So, it doesn't behove.
Will business happen in Parliament?
Yes. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, I do feel that asking the poor people, deprived sections of the people to file appeals may be too much. These are also people who may not have resources, and this is also putting a lot of burden on voters. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, what would your response be to both Ajay Kumar and Smita Prakash?
No, there are more than 1.5 lakh of BLA from opposition parties also who were part of this whole exercise. Now, today, on 5th August, the Election Commission had released the data that they have opened the objection window for people to file an objections about their voter list name not getting deleted or not included, etc. Till 3 p.m. today, the Election Commission has released data that not a single objection has been filed. Rahul Gandhi is going on the public platform saying, I have a bomb, atom bomb, मैं फोड़ूंगा. अरे Election Commission is asking repeatedly, if you have anything, data, just show us.
BJP is saying that the Congress needs to use its organizational strength to get people who have been deprived of their rights to get them back on electoral rolls.
Raghav, two, three issues. One is this belief of the government system which works. Out of the total scheduled caste in Bihar, only 20% of caste certificate. Out of the only 15% of tribals have their caste certificate, backwards are 18%. This is government data, sir, your government, Nitish Babu and BJP government. And you suddenly believe this government is ECI so efficient? I mean, I have been a government official. You suddenly have this great leap of faith in this IAS officers being so efficient, who 25 years could not even give 80% of the population of deprived classes. For the general caste, there is no certificate. My question, Raghav, is the question. No, one second. I'll just finish it for 5 seconds. I disagree with Smita Prakash on one fundamental issue. Parliament is not only for debating bills. It's raising issues. Otherwise, you might as well stop the Parliament. is raising issues of national importance. Debating bills is one part of the parliament, but answering questions, holding government accountable, replying to the questions we ask. So, and Smita, it was not army. We objected to the CISF presence. They are paramilitary force.
No.
And we objected to CISF.
Right.
No, the words used by Kharge also
we'll
said
have to
army.
leave this conversation
I stand
here.
corrected. In case
we'll
that I
have to
stand
leave this
corrected.
conversation here. Unfortunately, I've completely run out of time on this conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll leave this conversation here for the moment, but we'll focus on this as we go along, because this debate has been playing out for a while now, and it is likely to play out for many more days to come. Vasudha, and finally our focus on Bengaluru city as part of our City Our Fight campaign. Of course, all conversations focused on the Metro Yellow Line that will be launched by the Prime Minister on the 10th of August.
NDTV's Deepak Bopanna decided he can't wait that long and went on a quick recce tour of what the Yellow Line ride will feel like.
Bengaluru's Metro Yellow Line, approved way back in 2014, is now finally a reality. 16 stations and a total travel time of just around 30 minutes. It's set to transform commute across the tech corridor. On August 10th, the Prime Minister will officially flag it off. But NDTV got an exclusive first look at what your Yellow Line ride will feel like.
Days ahead of the official inauguration of the Yellow Line Metro, we're here at the RV Road Metro Station, and we're going to for the first time show our viewers how the swanky new metro station looks like. Apart from that, we'll also of course give our viewers a perspective of the driverless train and how much time it actually takes to commute on this new Yellow Line of the Namma Metro. So here we are at the RV Road Metro Station, and the first look of the Yellow Line and the special driverless train that is of course going to get chugging in just a few days' time as the Prime Minister inaugurates it. Here of course we have a driver because there is this is the loco pilot who's here. These are test runs of course that are going to be conducted. So up until then they are going to of course have a loco pilot monitoring the movement of this particular Yellow Line.
BMRCL has received delivery of 3 trains for the Yellow Line. While the first was imported from China, the subsequent ones are being assembled right here in India at a facility in Kolkata. The line runs through high traffic areas like Silkboard, Bomnalli and connects directly to the tech corridors housing India's big tech.
This line was very overdue. Since we could not get the clearance from the technical team, we had to delay it due to some technical problem which has been from Itanagar. So only 3 trains have come as on today. 10th Honorable Prime Minister has given a time to inaugurate this. So I am just doing the recce here. We are not inaugurating, we are just doing a recce for the arrangements here.
So in just about 32 minutes from RV Road, we are here at Delta Electronics in Bommasandra. A distance of about 19 kilometers. One could hardly imagine that it can of course be covered so quickly, but that's what the Bengaluru Metro has been doing. But the need of the hour of course is to ensure that there are more trains, the frequency is increased, and more importantly, all the metro stations and the lines are completed on time.
With camera person Govind, Deepak Bopanna for NDTV.
Well, that's all we have time for on the Southern View. News and updates continue right here on NDTV.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
फिनेस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Finer Finesta.
तू ही तो है जिसकी सच्चाई वाली क्लैरिटी की वजह से मैं आज यहाँ हूँ।
गोल्ड प्लस सिल्वॉक्सी मिरर्स, ऐसी क्लैरिटी कि आपको सिर्फ सच नजर आए, चाहे कितने भी साल बीत जाएं।
माय बर्थडे गिफ्ट टू पापा, ये उनके पापा की पहली गाड़ी एक गराज में पड़ी थी दार्जिलिंग में, फिर 3 मैकेनिक, पेंटिंग, पॉलिशिंग। जब इसे फाइनली घर लाया ना, तब लगा लाइफ में ग्रो किया है।
SIP करो, इन्वेस्ट करो, लाइफ में ग्रो करो।
प्रतिभूति बाजार में निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। निवेश करने से पहले सभी संबंधित दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Vanakkam Tamil Nadu.
Well, the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves.
And Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash.
Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edapadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players, and this is going to be the ultimate test.
And you know, that's why it's being said that after Kahuna Pyar Hai, this is the film that has got 2 superstar debutants who are becoming superstars. But what was this faith that you had on these two that you know that shows on screen?
You know, you don't plan to make a blockbuster. You plan to make a good film. And that's what I think they never let me, you know, they didn't put that pressure on me to live up to. They never gave me a number that we have to hit or a so-called figure that I have to open to. There was all these trappings were just not there, which normally producers do end up putting that pressure. You know, then you make wrong things. Then you add a song for a shadi song, add a Punjabi song. All these trappings were not there in this film. They were like, just go there and make your film. Do this script. We love this script and make it honestly. And I think the minute that happened, a filmmaker I could just spread my wings and just go out, not worrying about a few. I think when you do that, you get a little more fearless, and then that's what got picked up by people. So I cast appropriate for the film. I didn't cast thinking. I cast what felt right.
You were saying that you are going to say no to him.
Yeah. But that's his fault. Huh? He was now you see, now that we can talk about the film, Krish Kapoor cannot be a timid, sweet boy.
Yes,
yes, sir. How are you, sir?
Last time we spoke.
Yeah, and I was like, what is this?
Hello and welcome. You're watching India Matters. I'm Gauri Dwivedi. The big story this evening on the show is nature's fury. In Dharali village in Uttarkashi district of Uttarakhand, it has been struck by a devastating cloudburst. Rescue operations are currently underway. And that, on your screens, the visuals tell you exactly what has happened in the last couple of hours. Some of these, the devastation took place because of the cloudburst. Is right there for all of you to see, viewers. It was just a matter of seconds in which there was a cloudburst, and what followed was the flash floods, and with it swept villages, and many people are missing right now. The death toll stands at 2, but what you're looking right now indicates that it could be far more. What it will be is something that we will report responsibly only when officially confirmed. What we do know is that there's been NDRF that have been put there, and rescue operations are currently underway as well. What makes this entire operation also tough is because of the slush that has come in, which makes entire operation that much more tricky, that much more challenging. Add to it the topography and the fact that even now there is a red alert and the situation is far from normal. In fact, let me now take you through specific videos that tell you what all has happened in terms of the devastation of Devbhoomi, which is our top focus on India Matters. Video after video show absolute destruction in Uttarkashi. Take a look at some of these most devastating images that are there for you viewers to really understand the extent of what has unfolded in Uttarkashi. The first video that we're putting out right now is the true and horrifying extent of the cloudburst. Big concrete houses completely swallowed by the slush. The flash flood swept away a huge area of the Dharali village. There you can see that people had seconds to escape. So whoever could manage to did. But the video tells you just how difficult it would have been for many people to escape from that tragedy. The true extent of that is what you see on your screens. Let's get you the second video that tells you exactly the extent of nature's fury in Uttarakhand today, in Uttarkashi. The second video, this is the moment when tragedy struck the village in Uttarkashi. This new video shows water and slush gushing through the mountain, ravaging everything on its way. You see that. This is the terrifying seconds that tell you what really happened in terms of the tragedy when it struck today in Uttarkashi. Let's tell you this third video, another one that tells you the shattering aftermath of the flash floods, where homes upon homes have been swept away and buried in slush. That's the third video that tells you that what happens after these flash floods, which is the slush, which is equally challenging. You can see people, property, everything being taken away when the slush has actually come and swept away with it homes and people's lives completely. Now in this video you can see how difficult and challenging would the rescue operation be. It is currently underway. Emergency helplines are there. We're going to flash that out as well on our screens, viewers. Emergency helplines are put out. Emergency forces in terms of rescue and relief operations are underway. But this slush on your screens tells you how difficult and challenging that operation is right now. Another disturbing video, let's put that out as well on India Matters, which is a car being swept away. Locals claim the passengers were stuck in the car. That tells you that that whether it is possible to actually be able to survive in such a challenging environment. That car being washed away is probably telling you exactly how things are unfolding or did unfold earlier today when that disaster struck Uttarkashi. Over 50 people are missing right now. They've been reported missing in the flash floods. Till now, the death toll stands at 4. We are waiting for details as far as those missing people are concerned. The final video that we're putting out right now, viewers, the army camp at Arshil has also been hit by the cloudburst. Images accessed exclusively by NDTV show the camp that has been surrounded by slush. At least 150 army personnel from this camp were one of the first responders as they rush to the rescue of those who've been trapped. That tells you how much of slush actually came down, and that's a question we're going to put out as well on the broadcast, which is that the big questions that we're going to put out, which is that what happens when such a situation actually unfolds? What is the kind of challenges it throws in terms of the rescue and relief operations? We'll put that out as well on our panelists. Will decode what could be the next 24 and 48 hours. But first up, I want to play out this report, viewers, that tells you the story so far.
Nature's fury in full force. Death and devastation in Devbhoomi. A village washed away. Houses crumble in the face of raging waters. Screams and shouts of people running to save life. As a cloudburst triggered devastating flash floods in Dharali village in Uttarkashi district of Uttarakhand, multiple videos captured the scale and horror of the tragedy. This video shows the gushing water in full force, destroying everything in its way. Houses to cars to trees. Scared people scrambling to escape the advancing fury. Another video showed the sudden gush of water from the heights onto the unsuspecting village, sweeping all in the way with full force. An eyewitness documented the aftermath of nature's fury. Houses, cars, everything buried under the slush left behind by the flash floods. This video shows a man trying to navigate his way through the slush, falling in the effort. The cloudburst took place in the catchment area of the Khir Ganga river, leading to the devastation of Dharali village in Uttarkashi. The area is just 4 kilometers from the Harshil army camp, which was also washed away. The mammoth tragedy overwhelmed the region and triggered an emergency multi-agency response.
सेना के लोग और आपदा प्रबंधन विभाग और NDRF, SDRF सभी काम कर रहे हैं। आदरणीय गृह मंत्री जी ने भी लगातार हर संभव सहायता के लिए वहाँ पर NDTV की कंपनियां और कंपनियों को भेजा है। बचाव के काम के लिए थोड़ा सा कठिन स्थान है वो, क्योंकि वहाँ पर बारिश भी हो रही है और इस समय वहाँ थोड़ा कोहरा भी लगा हुआ है।
Teams of Army, NDRF, SDRF were rushed to the affected areas for rescue operation. A bridge leading to the affected also came down, snapping the connectivity and weather hampered the relief operations.
पुलिया भी वहाँ से बह गई है, तो उसके लिए हम लोग अभी BRO से भी और ENC इंजीनियर इन चीफ हमारे PWD के हमारे साथ हैं। मौसम भी अभी इस ऐसी स्थिति नहीं है जिससे कि हम लोग हेली सर्विसेज को वहाँ के माध्यम से वहाँ पे राहत और रेस्क्यू कर सके।
Prime Minister Modi expressed condolences and assured that relief and rescue operations were being carried out under the supervision of the state government. Home Minister Amit Shah also dialed the Chief Minister to take stock of the relief.
कि नदियों के किनारे जो लोग घर बना लेते हैं, उनका इंक्रोचमेंट बहुत ज़्यादा कर देते हैं, तो ऐसे में ये जो नुकसान होता है इस तरीके का बहुत ज़्यादा होता है। पर अभी किसी को पता नहीं है कि वो किस वजह से वहाँ पर फ्लड आया था। यही वजह है कि उस पूरे इलाके को खाली कराकर उनको सुरक्षित स्थानों पर लाया जाएगा।
Uttarakhand has been witnessing heavy continuous rainfall this season, with major rivers including the Ganga and Haridwar remaining in spate. NDTV Bureau Report.
Let's now play out the soundbite of Tehri MP on how things are unfolding right now as far as the aftermath of the tragedy that struck Uttarkashi. Listen in.
देखिए, बहुत ही दुख की घटना हुई उत्तरकाशी में, जो 2013 में भी एक बार आया था, इस बार उससे भी ज़्यादा भयंकर है। बहुत ही दुख की घटना हुई है। प्रशासन लोग अपने काम कर रहे हैं, जगह जगह पहुंच रहे हैं, क्योंकि रास्ता भी बंद है, इसलिए जितना वहाँ लोकली है वो लोग पहुंच रहे हैं, और जो बाहर से आ रहे हैं हेल्प कर रहे हैं, जो प्रशासन वो लोग अभी पहुंच ही रहे हैं। क्योंकि आपने देखा होगा परिस्थिति कैसा है। स्टेट और सेंटर हम सब मिलकर इसके लिए काम कर रहे हैं और आगे जा रहे हैं।
All right, breaking news coming in on the broadcast on India Matters. Chief Minister Pushkar Dhami has taken charge in terms of disaster response. He's reached the state center in terms of where the operations are being monitored in Dehradun. He's reviewing the rescue operations right now and the efforts after the cloudburst struck Uttarkashi today in the afternoon. Top officials are briefing the Chief Minister right now on the ground situation. What is the latest in terms of the relief and rescue operation? Remember, it's a very challenging task. We've been telling out and showing you those videos, those images that tell you that the relief and rescue operation itself is going to be extremely challenging in the wake of the slush that is there and the fact that there are a very large number of people who are actually missing. Those videos tell you that in a matter of minutes, people had no chance and had to in fact vacate to ensure that they did not come in the way of that massive flash flood that came in. And now there is relief and rescue operations that are being very closely monitored by the Chief Minister, and he's at the Emergency Operations Center. And there's an expectation that over the course of the next couple of hours, hopefully there will be some clarity as far as those who are reportedly missing. All right, viewers, As we keep getting you live details and updates in terms of how things are unfolding right now, rescue and relief operations, let's quickly now tell you why is it that Uttarkashi is so vulnerable. This isn't the first time there has been such an incident that has happened. In fact, 2013 is when those devastating floods actually came in Uttarakhand, that was in the Kedarnath area. And since in the last decade or so, Uttarkashi continues to remain extremely vulnerable. Let's put out those basic points that tell you why is it that this area remains so vulnerable. First and foremost, which is the point is that deforestation weakens the soil stability, of course. So this is something, and that's the classic development versus ecology debate. Where do you draw that fine line is something that public policy is all about. Well, unregulated construction is another aspect which has worsened the entire flood impact. We've seen a lot of rampant construction that has taken place around the floodplains, and that complicates matters because that is when flood impact is worse. The other important part is the terrain factor, which is that steep and rugged terrain leads to water actually rushing very rapidly, and that makes matters worse. It aggravates the particular situation, whether it is in terms of the flash flood. This terrain needs to be kept in mind. The air rises quicker in mountains. That causes very sudden and intense rainfall. Remember, this is what cloudburst is all about, which is that there's a very high and rapid intensity as far as rainfall is concerned, and that leads to flash floods. And because air rises very quickly in mountains, this compounds matter. So these are really the broad issues as far as why Uttarkashi remains extremely vulnerable. Now let's put out those big questions that NDTV has been asking in terms of why, while we continue to focus on the tragedy, these big questions need to be asked. First and foremost, did the cloudburst sensors function today? There's been an elaborate system that has been put in place. Did it work today? That's the first question. The next key question that we are asking is, why didn't the forewarning system alert the Dharali village in time? You saw that video, viewers. The people in the village had seconds to escape. Why were they not given enough notice? What happened to that EWS, the early warning system that has been a major focus area in terms of priority? Next up, what is it that the data captured in terms of sensors before Uttarkashi cloudburst? Remember, as far as the entire system is concerned, it relies on data. You have accurate data, you put out the signals in time. What is it that the data mechanism was putting out? Next up, are these sensors actually operational, maintained? Basic question, but needs to be asked. At the end of the day, you may have an elaborate system, but is it working? Is it operating? Is it being maintained? That's the key question. And lastly, which is that, was there a flash flood alert given in time? That's equally important. And these are the questions that we'll try and get an answer to. Let's quickly now rope in guests joining me this evening on India Matters. First and foremost, Rajat Sen-Gupta, Associate Editor of Down to Earth, Shloka Nath, CEO of India Climate Collaborative, General Sanjay Kulkarni, Defense Analyst, someone who understands this area very well. And we also have Mr. Amitav Ghosh, who's the author and columnist, and also someone who understands environment very closely. In fact, Mr. Ghosh, let me start with you. Many would say, in terms of, and you're somebody who's tracked these environment tragedies that have unfolded in the region in the last 2 decades or so. You've studied this area very well, and many would say that probably not enough lessons have been learned so far. Everybody goes back in time to 2013, 2021 to repeat the fact that maybe enough lessons haven't been learned.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. I was like everybody who's seen the footage. I was horrified by what happened. But you're absolutely right. Not only has nothing been learned from other tragedies like this of the past, I think things have actually gotten worse. In fact, considerably worse. And we can't blame it all on climate change. That's really the problem. Because often now you see ministers and politicians and so on saying, oh, it's all the fault of climate change. But it's not. It's really not. It's a fault of public policy. It's a fault of planning. I mean, when you look at those narrow mountain valleys, I've been on these pilgrimages myself several times, in fact, I can tell you. And those areas are not meant to be heavily trafficked. they're extremely fragile mountainous regions. And now, with the danger of climate change, we know that there will be more and more rain bomb events. And when rain bomb events happen, this is exactly what happens. You get a massive amount of rain coming down a steep valley, and the water has nowhere to go because the valley is a V-shaped valley, and the water will just run along the bottom of it. This isn't just the case in India. You know, a similar thing happened in Pakistan recently, also in the United States. So we see this happening again and again, and yet there are no building restrictions, no regulations, more and more tourists being transported into this area. And really, you know, it's a travesty, honestly, because, you know, the whole point of the Himalayan pilgrimages was that they were difficult. I mean, I remember when I first went, to Kedarnath and Badrinath, as a 15-year-old, you would see people walking. That was the whole point of it. You know, you had to suffer to get there. But now, you know, the whole idea is that you just transport people in hundreds of thousands, but these mountains cannot take it.
Okay. Let me then come into the elaborate sensors, the early warning systems, all of which were put in place. In fact, even last year, the government and the entire administrative machinery was banking on this EWS, this early warning system. In your assessment, what went wrong there?
No. We cannot blame nature for all this. And you know, the idea that there's a technological fix for this through sensors and early warning systems and so on, really, we can just do away with that completely. Because, you know, the whole point of events like these is that they are completely unpredictable. They strike you where you don't expect them to strike. The problem really lies in building very low in the valleys, you know. The problem lies, first of all, with deforestation upriver. Deforestation creates the conditions. I mean, if you've seen the water that came down that river, these used to be clear streams.
Yes.
But the water that came down was almost black. And that's because it just came surging down the hill, the mountainsides with no trees or forests to hold the landslides back. So this isn't just a flood; it's also, in some sense, a landslide. You know, and where else is the water going to go but into that very steep valley? You know, one thing that we don't adequately recognize, I think, is how incredibly fragile these mountain environments are. You know, there are these rain bomb events when, of course, you get these flash floods. But there are also GLOFs, you know, that is a glacial lake outburst phenomena, you know. So we had that in Sikkim not long ago. Really, what we need to see is a deep retrenchment from building in these ways in the mountains.
Okay. Given how things stand right now in terms of, if one were to look ahead, one of course is the rescue relief operations, which will be the immediate priority of the government, of the administrative machinery. But Mr. Ghosh, if one were to look ahead in terms of the next key areas to focus on to ensure that a similar tragedy doesn't strike Uttarakhand again, what would be your key set of priorities?
You know, I'm not an expert on this particular valley, on these particular mountains. But one thing I can tell you is that I am sure many local people would have predicted something like this. You know, because we see this, in Joshimath with the crumbling houses and so on. Local people are very profoundly aware of their environments and their ecological constraints. So I would say very forcefully that what is needed is more consultation with the people who live there, you know, the villagers who live there, the local people, and I'm sure they would have a great deal to say, and they would know much better, in fact, than outside experts.
Okay. Which brings me to ask you the one question. You mentioned deforestation right at the beginning of this interview, and that's something that many have been talking about. But sir, there is that fine line between development and ecology. Ecological concerns are very important, but so are development, right? So where do we actually draw that fine line between environment and development?
What does that mean? It's this absurd word, development. I mean, suppose building a fancy restaurant on the banks of a raging river is development. But then one day it'll come, the water will come, and it'll take away your restaurant and it'll take away your life. So how is that development? I mean, doesn't there have to be some sense of precautionary prudence in these matters?
All right, Mr. Ghosh, we leave it there. Thanks much for speaking to NDTV. Amitav Ghosh is someone who understands that area very well, and environment is a matter that's very close to his heart. In fact, let me take some of those points to the panel joining me, Rajit Sengupta, Shloka Nath, and General Sanjay Kulkarni. And as we talk, viewers, the focus will be on what lies ahead. Let's also not lose sight of the immediate, which is the relief and rescue operations. And General Kulkarni, let me start with you there. You know this area very well. You know the topography. You know the fact that after the flash flood, the entire operation from a rescue point of view is going to be extremely challenging. Walk our viewers through what is it that we are looking at over the course of the next 24 to 48 hours.
Gauri, I am from the Kumar regiment. So I know very well what exactly happens over there. The army, we'll have the ITBP, we'll have the NDRF, the SDRF, the BRO, all of them. Everybody will be working. That there is no denying the fact. Everybody will be, the rescue operation that has started. But the weather is a major challenge. It's still raining over there. The mudslides are very difficult to do. I have experienced one in 2010 in Ladakh, again in 2013 in Kargil. So I know what a cloudburst really means. But then it's a natural phenomena. Whatever we might say, it's not so easy. None of our instruments can work. It isn't something like that which can tell us that there's going to be an earthquake tomorrow over here. Or if that was so, then the Russians would not have had an 8.8 earthquake on the Richter scale then. So it's not easy. These are natural phenomena because obviously the clouds are going from northward towards from the Bengal, Arabian Sea, what you were mentioning, the hot and the cold, all these kind of phenomena do occur. But what is more important is, you see the kind of development. The development is all quite new, in just about 5, 7, 8 years, because you can see the building, you can see the kind of things. We all have experienced it, what it was a decade back to what it is today. We have to control them. That there is no denying the fact. You can see the values. Obviously, everybody seems to feel that for the last 10, 15 years, 30 years, which been over. It's all absolutely khali. Let's go and occupy it. The government gives you sanctions. Okay, construct this. You have this hotel coming up. You'll have this homestays coming up. Tourism developing, the roads widening. Obviously, the trees get cut and in the bar. But these are all Himalayas. Absolutely new. Sedimentary. They are very solid. Tunnel making isn't easy over here. It could be very easy in Europe in the Alps, but it's extremely difficult and very, very difficult to retain and hold in the Himalayan region. So we all experience it. The mitigation is the only thing that we can do. But to say that we could prevent such a thing from happening, well, as of now, I can say it's virtually impossible. Virtually impossible. You can't prevent it. To say very easy climate change, it's not so easy. How can one predict? Would anybody be a fool if one could predict and not tell them? You would be the first one to tell them. And today, it's 1:45 a.m. during day. So thank God it's during day. People saw what was coming. And they could take, they could escape. So some of them could escape from there. And therefore, this massive construction, which has led to this kind of devastation and loss of life. But otherwise, preventing such a phenomena, I think it's very, very difficult. It's still difficult. Cloudburst and all can't even be, you can't even sort of predict.
Eliminating may be difficult. Eliminating may be difficult, but at least minimizing is what the effort should be towards. And how far we are able to do so is going to be a combination of some prudent public policy choices, but at the same time, tech intervention as well. And I think that is what I want to ask from both Rajit as well as Shloka, which is that everybody understands that when it comes to nature's fury, there is only so much that humanity can do. But where do we ensure that we are able to minimize some of this, either through technological innovations, tech interventions, as well as through ensuring that what General Kulkarni was saying, that you can't keep building rampantly. Highways are important, but where do you draw that fine line? You know, that road development, what General Kulkarni also mentioned about. And let's take that one by one. Rajat, to you first. In terms of technology, what is the first you think tech interventions can be done to minimize some of this? Nobody's saying we can eliminate all of it, but the effort should be to minimize or at least have some sort of a forewarning mechanism that ensures that humanity is not so unprepared as it was.
Thank you for having me over. So right now this is developing, so we don't know how the early warning systems actually work. So slightly speculative, but my experience of the past few years has been that IMD has made a lot of tremendous improvements in terms of how we are doing early warning systems. What we also need at the same time is basically a more robust community-led dissemination process as well, which I think is very important to minimize the damages that go along. So community has to be involved, and they have to be told beforehand that such a thing is going to happen. Like in this case, I know for the fact that IMD had predicted heavy rains. It did not predict cloudbursts. And IMD has also not said that cloudbursts have happened right now. It is the Uttarakhand government which has confirmed cloudbursts so far. So heavy rains was something that IMD had predicted at least 48 hours prior to today's event. But disseminating that information and also getting the movement on ground is also something that is needed.
All right, Shloka, come in there on several of these aspects that Rajat is mentioning.
So firstly, the idea that we have to choose between climate and development is actually a completely false binary, especially in a country like India, because development that ignores climate risk is not development at all. It's actually deferred disaster. What good is a road if it's going to get washed away every monsoon? What good is electricity if the village floods before it can even use it? So firstly, climate action is development when it protects lives, when it secures livelihoods, when it builds resilience for those who are most vulnerable and the people most exposed to climate risk, as we saw today. So we have to shift the question from how much can we build to what can we build that can withstand what's actually coming. Because if we continue to build without climate foresight, we're simply rebuilding more loss. The other thing that I do want to say is that, yes, of course, there are many, many solutions, but the biggest barrier isn't technology or funding, it's mindset. We still treat disasters as isolated events instead of symptoms of a much deeper climate crisis. That means that we're always reacting, we're rarely preparing.
Shloka, everybody is pointing out the pattern that has come in, the frequency with which you are seeing these flash floods in Uttarakhand. I think most people now are on the same page that this is not an isolated instance. You see now a pattern and the frightening frequency with which these flash floods are actually taking place.
Absolutely. And so for India, the next step is pretty clear. We need to mainstream climate risk into every single development decision, especially in places like the Himalayas. That means no new roads or infrastructure without a climate impact assessment. That means that we have to scale up early warning systems that actually reach remote villages, not just sit in government dashboards. And we must invest in restoring our natural defenses, forests, wetlands, slopes that can actually absorb water instead of triggering landslides. Some of this is already happening. We've seen successful slope stabilization projects in places like the Himachal and community-based watershed work in Sikkim. But we need to move from pilots to policy. The Himalayas are telling us exactly what they need. And the question is, are we listening?
No, you've raised some very important points, especially the one where you said that this is any development that doesn't keep climate action at its core is just a deferred disaster. That's the word that you used. And it's important to probably get some voices from the administration who right now, of course, are focused on the immediate. Viewers, let's understand, while we are talking about what happens in due course of time, one mustn't lose sight of the fact that as things stand right now, there are at least 50 people who are confirmed missing, and rescue relief operations are extremely challenging and currently underway. Helpline numbers on your screens. Let's quickly now tell our viewers in terms of why there's been a rise in cloudbursts, and then we come back to our panelists here. Now, first and foremost, why is there increase in terms of the pattern that we're talking about cloudburst? First and foremost is climate change. It's triggered extremes in terms of what has happened in the last 20 years or 30 years, there's been a complete change as far as overall climatic patterns are concerned, and that has really played a major role as far as cloudbursts are concerned. Second important aspect, this is an ecologically fragile zone. This is the Himalayan belt. You cannot say Uttarakhand is separate, Himachal Pradesh is separate. All of it together are part of the Himalayan belt, which is extremely, extremely fragile from an ecological point of view. Third, equally important, which is that monsoon winds pack excess moisture, and that has an impact of how they actually get trapped, and which plays an important role in terms of the environmental conditions that lead to what really happens. And lastly, the narrow valleys actually in this region block the drainage, compounding matters. This partially explains in a way in terms of why this area is so susceptible to cloudbursts. We've been talking about how there's a frequency with which they are unfolding, and which is why there needs to be a greater action plan, so to say, an action plan for how Uttarakhand can deal with cloudbursts. And in fact, let's put that out as well, that how human activity has actually fueled some of this. We mentioned this, and our panelists are also mentioning, first and foremost, construction. Well, there's been rampant construction that has taken place. Tourism numbers have actually skyrocketed in the last 2 decades. A lot of this is to do with people wanting to travel, the ease with which they are traveling, and all of that adds to greater tourism infrastructure, all of which is needed. These are states, these are areas that rely heavily on tourism earnings, but at the same time ensuring that construction doesn't choke several of those natural drainage that exists and doesn't lead to the kind of rampant deforestation that some of the panelists were talking about. Trees gone, soil cannot hold rainwater anymore, slope stability weakened, and landslide risk up. That's explaining in a very simple way in terms of what really could happen. Climate change shifting monsoon patterns as well, with warmer air pushing more moisture into the hills, and fragile ecosystem actually being pushed to the brink. That explains partially, as I said, this is a very complex phenomena, but this is for viewers to really understand how this ecosystem is so fragile and needs to be handled with care. Let's now go back to the panelists. Rajit, and let me ask you in terms of, we're putting out these pointers for our viewers to really understand how things are unraveling here. But at the same time, as I said, no chief minister, no government can ever say that, we need to develop more in terms of our tourism infrastructure. We need to ensure that development is prioritized. We need to ensure that roads and better connectivity is given to everybody. So what do you think should be the top 2 or 3 things that should be done from here on in the wake of this tragedy raising many red flags?
So one thing that I need to talk about is the fact that this is not one-off incident. So if I was just scrambling up the numbers just before coming to the show. So in the past 2 months in Uttarakhand, according to government data, around 42 people have died because of heavy rainfalls. So this is a chronic problem that is going around the year. What happens is when an incident like what has happened today unfolds, we are talking about it very emphatically. But development is a long-term process, and it has to be in a sustainable way. The other thing that is also equally important is that when we talk about climate change, we make it sound as if it is something that is beyond us. But climate change is basically an anthropogenic, human-induced change that is happening in the climatic scenarios. So it is basically the way we are developing and the way we are growing. That is at the heart of it. And we have to stop it, because we are talking about the immediate impacts right now. We are not talking about how many years would go into redeveloping the places that have been affected. If you go back to the previous landslides and extreme weather events that have happened, you can see that it takes years for people to rebuild their homes to where they come after a major extreme weather. So we have to look at it in that prism as well. It is not just one-off incident.
General Kulkarni, come in there. How do we now view this from here on in terms of the next steps to ensure that red flags have been raised, concerns are there, but what can we possibly do from here on? As someone who understands that region very well, what would be your top 2, 3 priority areas?
Gauri, we all understand that this is a fragile ecosystem, requires a sustainable development. People have to earn, population is growing, and therefore there has to be a source that is a good tourist spot, very good. But tourists must be controlled. We must say so very clearly, not have miles and miles of vehicles lined up on the road. it should be specified that not more than 5,000 people will be here from this point to this point, and then an entry point and an exit point, so that continuously it is being monitored 365 days of the year, and not just during summer vacations or winter vacations. You find suddenly lakhs and lakhs of people turn up over there. Obviously, it's a very fragile ecosystem. The Himalayas, absolutely new, and therefore, since the mountain regions are so stable, it is very essential to control, and the control can only be done by the government. But you know how we people are. No, iska sifarish, just get into the area because he's got 3-4 days of leave, weekends coming up, just rushing up. It has to be controlled, because this is something which we have to really come with a very, very hard path, that these are the only area. This is the only thing that we are left with, and therefore it is our requirement to ensure it is safe. People should be safe, rather than mitigating this. You can't problem. Yes, I can say forest fires can be controlled, landslides can be controlled, to a large extent floods can be controlled, but cloudbursts and all things are very, very difficult. Earthquakes, extremely difficult to. But notwithstanding that, we know that these areas are prone to disaster, and therefore it is very important to control tourism and not making quick bucks in a short span of time. No, just sustainable tourism, yes, but very, very gradual, slowly, so that everybody enjoys, rather than rushing 2 lakhs of people in a short span of time.
Shloka, do you think we can control the number of tourists who come to a tourist destination in India?
I think if we don't, we're looking at a rather dire future. And I think we have to stop talking about climate as a future threat. We have to start treating it as a present emergency. It has to be embedded in every single policy, every budget, every blueprint. It has to be as core as health, water, energy, food, housing. It's not distinct from any of these topics. And we have to move public perception from sacrifice to smart, safe, sustainable development. And that should hopefully answer the question around tourism, because climate isn't the cost of development. It's the condition for it to succeed. We need responsible tourism, not rampant tourism.
Mm-hmm. You come in there, Prajit, what do you think in terms of, this, what Shloka is saying, responsible tourism? But at the end of the day, how is it that you can actually implement something like this? Because tourists will come to a tourist destination, and connectivity, India has made huge progress in terms of our connectivity. Why is it that we will not see a greater number or a greater influx of tourists coming to tourist destinations like Uttarakhand?
I think it's an oversimplification. So let's assume after what happened today, the next few months, nobody is going to go to Uttarakhand for tourism purposes. This is the fear that is there, and we have to realize that. So we can't build our hills the way our plains are built. And till the time we don't understand that, we won't not have a solution to this problem. So we have to think it in terms of that, so we can cap the number of tourists who are around. And it's not just about the number of tourists who are going. It's about the way the entire cities have been developed, how the infrastructure has come up. If you look at the videos that are coming up, you see these buildings that are being pushed out. And many of them, I'm assuming, would be also on the national drainage plains or on the slopes where they shouldn't have been there in the first place. So in hindsight, it becomes very difficult to give answers. But when development is actually happening, we know the basic things that need to be kept in place. And we need to redevelop it in a way that is sustainable.
All right, we leave it there. Thanks much, all three of you, for joining me on this edition of India Matters. As we've been pointing out, climate emergency is not something of the future. It is now a present concern that needs to be identified. Even as viewers, we continue a very close watch on how things are unfolding in terms of the rescue operations that are currently underway. The visuals on your screen tell you how scary and how devastating these flash floods have been today that struck Uttarkashi, and we're going to keep coming back to you with updates in terms of the rescue and relief efforts. On that note, a quick break. We come back with lots more on the other side of India Matters. Stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
Finestra windows. Beautiful and durable designs. इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
फाइनर फिनेस्टा।
जब मुंबई से वापस कोल्हापुर शिफ्ट हुआ तो सबने कहा कि ड्रीम सिटी को छोड़ रहा है। ड्रीम सिटी, तो मैंने कहा ड्रीम में तो यही गलियां आती हैं। तो जब ये रियलाइज़ हुआ कि कुछ बड़ा करने के लिए बड़े शहर में रहने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, तब लगा कि लाइफ में ग्रो किया। कशी ताई, ऐसे बॉय मिलते मुंबई में? चांस ही नहीं।
SIP करो, इन्वेस्ट करो, लाइफ में ग्रो करो।
प्रतिभूति बाजार में निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। निवेश करने से पहले सभी संबंधित दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
गोल्ड प्लस ऑप्टिमिस्टिक रिफ्लेक्टिव ग्लास लगाओ, धूप की गर्मी को दूर भगाओ और बिजली का बिल भी बचाओ।
फिनेस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स। इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
फाइनर फिनेस्टा।
माय बर्थडे गिफ्ट टू पापा, ये उनके पापा की पहली गाड़ी एक गराज में पड़ी थी दार्जिलिंग में। फिर 3 मैकेनिक, पेंटिंग, पॉलिशिंग। जब इसे फाइनली घर लाया ना, तब लगा लाइफ में ग्रो किया है। बुलाओ।
SIP करो, इन्वेस्ट करो, लाइफ में ग्रो करो।
प्रतिभूति बाजार में निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। निवेश करने से पहले सभी संबंधित दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
You know, first when Sayyara released, and we as audience realized, oh my God, what is happening? You know, when did you realize it? Like, it's like, I didn't expect this. What is happening? Like that wave that hits you.
You know, the first thing that really hit me, I'm telling you, was a month back actually, to be honest, is when Adi sir saw the film. And he saw a very loose cut and he decided the release date. But he was always, like me and Akshay were so into making the film, I think, along with Sumanna and all. Sometimes when you're so into it and you know, you don't realize, you don't see it from, and then he saw it from a third person perspective. I mean, he was always super confident about the film. And he had actually had this talk with me about how I've done. And yeah, we all grew up. I was in the 8th grade when I saw Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge and said I want to make a love story like this. For a person like him to say that, you know, you've made a great film. All he had asked for me was to make your best film for me. And I did, and I'm just glad that, so that was the first thing, you know, and that validation was great. I wasn't shouting over the roof for it. It gives you a lot of confidence at that moment, you know. Absolutely. For the person who's actually put his money where it is, and he wasn't talking about anything else, but on a very unassembled film at that time, could feel the emotion and be listening. But it was the first time we felt that we made something special. But yes, once the numbers came in, I think then it was Akshay.
The advance.
Yeah, and the advances came in, and then people were sending me messages, and all they said, no, don't listen to anyone. So I at one point just put my phone off and said, you know, this is getting too out of hand. And then in the night we got the number.
फिनेस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स। इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
फाइनर फिनेस्टा।
Voice of
जब
officials in the house, not CISF. NDTV takes a sneak peek into the Bengaluru Yellow Line that's to be launched by the Prime Minister on 10th of August. Trump doubles down on tariff threats, sets 24-hour deadline for India, says substantial tariffs in the next 24 hours.
Presented by Canara Bank. Together we can.
Turning attention now to more breaking news that's coming in On India Matters, Anil Ambani's Enforcement Directorate grilling continues. It's been over 9 hours and he's likely to be summoned yet again. In fact, let's get in my colleague Anushka, who's been tracking this through the day. Anushka, what really were the kind of questioning that was put forth to Anil Ambani, and why is it that the agencies feel he needs to be called again?
That's right, Gauri. It's over 9 hours since the court began, and Anil Ambani was in fact inside the ED headquarters at 11 a.m. in the morning. ED had in fact questioned him on multiple fronts, asking him whether or not he knew about the kind of money the scheme that was in fact going on inside his 3 companies. Not just that, the ED had in fact also asked him whether or not he knew the kind of money diversions that were being made. He was aware of that or not. So far, what the ED sources have confirmed is that he was not giving any kind of a satisfactory answer. So far, he has also in fact said that he might need to take, in fact, 1 or 2 week time so that he could come up with the documents and provide that to the Enforcement Directorate. The ED is likely to call him after 1 week, and the more round of questionings will follow. What we do know by now is that on tomorrow, Amitabh, Jhunjhunwala is in fact being called regarding the same matter. He will also in fact be questioned. He's the right hand of Anil Ambani and the group companies. 3 Anil Ambani group companies, that is the Reliance Housing Finance Limited, Reliance Commerce Finance Limited, and Reliance Communications are under the radar. ED is in fact also running a parallel investigation on the Yes Bank 3,000 crore money diversion, and I asked Anil Ambani to confirm whether or not he knew that there was a quid pro quo arrangement between the then Yes Bank promoters and the ED, and that is what the ED is in fact also trying to investigate the nexus of bribe that was operating from 2017 and 2019. It's been more than 9 hours since the ED had begun the questioning with Anil Ambani, and anytime he can in fact come out of the ED office, he is likely to be summoned after a week regarding this whole investigation. So far, he has not come up with any satisfactory answer to give to the ED so that the ED can in fact somehow establish the money trail that was in fact used in this particular nexus, because this is a PMLA case. ED has to establish a money trail so that a case can be lodged on this whole matter. One major arrest has been done in this case. Partha Sarthi Biswal, who has been arrested from the Biswal, trademark private limited. He has been accused of, lending 68 crore worth, fake bank guarantees to 3 companies related to Anil Ambani. Not just that, he was in fact also accused of submitting a fake bank guarantee to SECI. So this all, comes, parallelly to the investigation that the ED had launched on the Anil Ambani Group companies. More than 35 locations and 25 people were in fact investigated in this whole matter. The ED has got their hands on voluminous incriminating documents and also computer peripherals regarding this whole investigation. So far, it has been 9 hours since this case is going on. The questioning is going on, and the ED has once again is likely to summon Anil Ambani after a week, so that
Anil Ambani likely to be summoned in a week's time again by agencies, because they feel that answers may not be satisfactory. I'm going to leave it there. Anushka, thanks much for giving us those details. And viewers, as far as this case is concerned, this is one of the biggest as far as corporate India is concerned. The loan fraud and Anil Ambani in the dock being grilled by enforcement agencies, and likely to continue this grilling in about a week's time from now.
The world's 6th richest person in 2008, worth $42 billion US, is now in the crosshairs of the Enforcement Directorate. In the last week of July 2025, searches were conducted at 35 locations of 50 of his companies and 25 individuals associated with him. And after the raids, Anil Dhirubhai Ambani was summoned to answer to allegations of having defrauded 17,000 crore rupees in loans from multiple banks. Anil Ambani's fall from grace has been as meteoric as had been his rise to fame. When Dhirubhai Ambani died in 2002, the Reliance empire that he had created relied on the family sticking together. Mukesh Ambani, as the elder son, remained at the forefront, while a younger Anil sulked in the shadows. But within 2 years, the rift was out in the open. The fight was over control and inheritance. It was Mother Kokila who had to mediate an acceptable split between the two belligerent siblings. To Anil's lot fell the more glamorous New Age businesses. Enterprises which were exciting and full of promise. Entertainment, communications, energy, infrastructure, and defense. All seemed well with Anil Ambani expanding his newfound empire at a brisk trot. Having Dhirubhai as a predecessor and Reliance as a brand name helped. Banks lined up to fund Anil Ambani's ambitions.
We are committed to replicating this resounding success in other areas of business.
But every business is run on the promise of profit, and profit it was that was not forthcoming. One by one, Anil's ventures began to run in the red. Yet all the while, the man himself could be seen partying with film stars and living the lavish life. By 2010, it became evident that Anil's businesses were struggling. In 2011, the CBI launched a probe into Anil Ambani's links to Swan Telecom. It was suspected that Anil had diverted funds in the 2G scam. In 2014, Anil was forced to sell his prized big cinemas to reduce debt taken by Reliance Entertainment. By 2018, Reliance Power's assets had to be sold off. An investment in the Dadri power plant led to legal troubles over land acquisition and drained the company of resources. By this time, the total debt of the Anil Ambani group of companies together had reached 1.72 lakh crore rupees. A year later, in 2019, the jewel in Anil Ambani's crown, Reliance Communications, or RCOM, entered insolvency. RCOM had backed CDMA technology, which quickly became obsolete. Burdened by loans, Anil had no option but to sell assets to anyone who would buy them or liquidate. "2019 was a tense time for Anil Ambani. He was staring at arrest as the Supreme Court threatened to